back here on League Unlock on a beautiful Monday after a stressful weekend with so many finals getting down with it. Starting with EU. Well, not starting with EU. We already talked about NA, but over to EU where you had Fnatic taking on Schalke. Obviously, Fnatic is the cream of the crop when it comes to Europe, and now they're just the best in the history of the LCS because they got their 7th LCS title. That's right, 7 LCS titles, one more than TSM, which gives them the most in the history of NA or EU. And this set was very different than the C9 Liquid one because that C9 pretty much had no chance. Schalke, while these games were fast, no game went 35 minutes. They were all around the 29 to 33 mark. It was somewhat back and forth. Schalke had a great start in game 1, and it looked like, oh baby, did we have ourselves a series. And even in games 2, 3, and 4, the early game was not too bad from Schalke. They really had chances in these games, and it was just these late game team fights that Fnatic, even if they were behind in gold, they just executed better. They had this Baron comp in game 2 with the Cassiopeia and Kai'Sa that was absolutely disgusting how quickly they took down Baron. And obviously game 3, Hylissang gets Pyke, and he is absolutely disgusting on that champion. That, going into Worlds, teams better be scouting that out and permabanning that against Fnatic because Hylissang has been super solid all split, but when he's on Pyke, he is on an entirely different level and just can't lose on that champion, basically. So if you're scouting Fnatic, ban Pyke against them because Hylissang is gross on them. Rekkles looked a whole lot better in the finals than he did in the semis. And when Soaz subbed in, because Bwipo started this set, they lost game 1, then Soaz came in, and he was just absolutely fantastic for them. Here, upset, hit Rekkles. He's just standing there waiting for Vander to come out of his Zhonya's, and you're just running around not hitting him. He could have been hitting Rekkles there. Instead, Rekkles gets a quadra kill, cleans up that fight. Fnatic closes it out from there, and much like Liquid, they win back-to-back LCS titles. Rekkles is happy, can't believe it. He wasn't even part of the regular season for the majority of it, but Fnatic go into Worlds looking not only as the best team in EU, but probably the best chance for any Western squad to get out of groups as that top seed from Europe. Not as dominant as Liquid, but that's just because Schalke played better, a whole lot better than Cloud9 did in that matchup. 7 LCS titles now is absolutely nutty for that team, and Soaz gets his 5th, which ties him for Yellow Star for the most EU LCS titles of all time, and he's going to be going back to yet another Worlds for him. He's only missed 1 World Championship in his entire split. Oh, maybe he missed Season 6 as well. So 2. So he's going to his 6th World Championship for Soaz, which is also insane. This guy's, him and Doublelift just continue to win LCS titles. Guys that have been around since Season 1. And you heard in an interview last week or a couple weeks ago, Soaz said he wants to keep playing. He wants to outlast Doublelift because they basically are 2 of the only original Season 1 members, not only still playing competitively, but still winning titles and playing at the absolute top of their region as the best at their position or one of the best at their position. So shoutouts to Soaz and Doublelift for their incredible longevity throughout their careers. But as a Fnatic fan, you should be hyped for them going into Worlds 2018 because they look darn good. And because Fnatic beat Schalke, that means that Vitality, with their win in that 3rd place match, are going to Worlds as that 2nd seed. And the 3rd seed still up for grabs in that gauntlet run out in EU. Schalke, for how well they performed in the 2018 summer split. They missed playoffs in spring, but because they finished runner-up, they're tied with G2 with 90 championship points, and whoever gets more points in summer wins that tiebreaker. So that's why Schalke is the final boss here in the gauntlet run for EU. G2 will be waiting in round 2 for the winner of Splice or Misfits. Got to imagine it's going to be G2 or Schalke here, nabbing that 3rd seed. I personally would like to see Schalke because I loved what I saw from them during their playoff run. They looked like a legitimate threat. They actually gave Fnatic a run for their money, even though it was 3-1. They had a chance in pretty much every game. So I want to see Schalke go to Worlds. It's just one best-of series that they got to win to book their ticket. And then, of course, you know, go through the entire play-in stage. So they still have a lot of work ahead of them. Any of these EU teams will if they want to represent their region at Worlds 2018. I talked about the NA Finals, Oracle Arena, not quite living up to the hype. It was underwhelming overall with the fan atmosphere and just overall production value. EU just continues their torrid pace in 2018 of delivering when it comes to finals venues. Copenhagen was fantastic. Fnatic took the trophy through the crowd and was high-fiving fans all along the way. And here in Madrid, there was a lot of hype coming into it about the rabid fan base and them getting super fired up, and the chants throughout it were absolutely fantastic. There was a TSM meme chant about who Fnatic thought would win the gauntlet, and they started chanting TSM, which kudos to them, that is great. But the Fnatic chant after they won, and even during the game, after big team fights, it was just so much louder in the venue. Fans were so much more involved. Again, that's probably because there's way more Fnatic fans than Schalke, so when the team with the biggest fan base is winning, obviously the atmosphere is going to be much more electric. But overall, it was just a much more exciting event. I felt like, at least watching it from home, you know, it seemed much more exciting. You seemed much more invested because the atmosphere was just that much more hype. And even the introductions when the two teams were coming out, Youngbuck comes in and places the trophy there. It was way more interesting. And by the way, something I want to mention, Youngbuck, 6 in a row. 6 LCS titles in a row he's won as a coach or a manager. He won 4 with G2, and now he's won 2 in a row with Fnatic. That is absolutely incredible for a guy who, when he was playing, was a pretty middle of the pack to lower tier top laner, but as a coach and manager, he has been one of the best that we've ever seen in Europe. Congrats to Fnatic. As an EU fan, you should be feeling excited about this team heading into Worlds 2018.